Same thing as last night. Performance Institute. Get a little workout in, get some physical therapy, loosen up, see where my weight is at, see if I need to cut a couple pounds, but I don't think so. I think I'm getting close, so everything good. So
sensational.
Ready?
I'm good. I'm ready to go and cut some weight, nice and slow.
What's up, Mr. Sensation?
Nice and slow and just focusing on the fight, man. Focusing on me. Forget all the bullshit. You know, even the shit that happened at media day, forget all the bullshit. It's about me making weight now, and I'll be a lot happier tomorrow after I eat and drink, and then focus on the fight.
Let's get it.
You ready?
There's always this question about weight cutting and why guys have such a tough time on the final day and why guys are missing weight and all that. The reality is weight cutting sucks. Absolutely fucking sucks. The amount of weight these guys have to cut or choose to cut to get down to a certain weight class so they can quote unquote perform better, I don't buy into it at all. And I think the issue really manifests itself when a guy hasn't been disciplined in camp or doesn't start early enough or doesn't plan early enough, and they're trying to cut 20, 30 pounds, the body reaches a certain point when it just starts shutting down and it can't continue to do the heavy work of cutting down. It's been dehydrated so much, it's cannibalizing itself. So a guy reaches a certain point where his body just can't go anymore.
It's kind of a loaded question. Think about it. What's happening at the end of camp is you're beat up, you're worn down, your immune system's low. There's a lot of things that could potentially go wrong when you're right at that, cusp of, the stress that comes with the performance and, the weight cut itself. But if you manage your weight throughout, you don't have to make a big cut. So for me, the ideal is you figure out what weight you can comfortably fight that night. So what do you leave the hotel to go to the arena at? And that's the weight you should walk around. And for me, it was around 224 at the end. And that, that's what I did the last couple of years I fought. First couple years I fought, it wasn't so easy. I was walking around at 230, it's an extra 5 or 6 pounds that was false weight. So it felt good in the gym, but there was no way I was going to get it back in the fight. The other thing is when you look at like percentages, we're trying to create, competitive parity, right? So you want people, the whole idea of weight classes is not to cheat the weight class, it's to have people the same size fighting each other on that night.
It's my opinion that fighters don't. If a fighter misses weight, he doesn't miss weight the week of the fight or even 2 weeks of the fight. When a fighter misses weight, typically it's from not doing his job, not being a professional throughout fight camp, 4, 6, 8 weeks out. That's whenever you miss weight, just not being a disciplined professional. I think most of our guys do a pretty good job doing this part. Coming from a wrestler, that's rule number one. You always make weight. It's always the rule. So none of these guys should have too much of a problem here this evening or this weekend, and get ready to fight.
I've heard a lot of different solutions about weight cutting. Like I see, what California's trying to do, what different states are trying to do with like the check you in 30 days, check where you're at, say you can't go down a certain percentage, stuff like that. I think those are good attempts, but I really think the best way, the only way I've seen so far that really takes weight cutting out is the way that ONE FC is doing it. They basically do hydration tests every so often. They find out what your weight is, your body fat percentage, at, let's say, just walking weight. Okay, you weigh 174 and you're fully hydrated. You fight at 170.
But it's filled with love that's rolled in the southern ground. And a little bitch of pride. Cold beer.
Ben Askren was a 170 title holder, went up to 185. So we have a friend of ours that fights for them. He used to play 55 all day, walked around at 72, now he just fights at 170. So he literally doesn't cut weight. And I think that's the best attempt I've seen, or the most effective attempt I've seen at actually stopping weight cutting. Because I think a lot of these other commissions by having you're going to weigh in the day before the fight, but then you're going to have another weigh-in to make sure you didn't gain a ton of weight. and these hydration tests and all that stuff. Like, I think they're good attempts, and it shows that our heart's in the right place. But the only thing I've seen so far that really does like prohibit weight cutting and make it so like, listen, you're not allowed to cut weight, is what One FC is doing, which is just you have to be fully hydrated at weigh-ins.
What you really need to see is what's already starting to happen. Is you need to see significant reform when it comes to weight cutting and how we go about it and the weight classes. And I think California with Andy Foster is doing a really good job in leading the pack. And I think the UFC is really starting to buy into the way things are done. And I think that a lot of promotions have to start taking a look at it. It's a real issue, and it's a health issue, and you know we don't need guys dying because they cut too much fucking weight, man. It's just ridiculous.
I was expecting just some short goes with Greg and Evan, and then they had me do 3 2-minute rounds and 3 5-minute rounds on the pads and grappling, just like to test my head, but test the body of course. But I feel great, I feel so sharp, so drop them 100%. Just stay smooth, stay calm, stay relaxed, breathe.
Testosterone, all that kind of things are forbidden because it's bad for your health and it's not fair to use it. And I think weight cutting is also bad for your health. Some people died on it, and it's not fair as well, you know. When somebody is lighter than the other one the next day, it's not a fair fight, I think. And it's better for the health and for the fighters to do the weight check on the same day as the fight, as the tournament. That's my opinion.
I'm sweating doing this.
It's your show, man. It's what you want to do.
No, if you don't want to move, then don't move. But if you're gonna move, you should do it. You should have did it 20 minutes ago.
If I want to move what?
If you want to move around with Edmund and hit something, you should do it now. And then you could mummy or sauna or do this, whatever you want.
I would do in
But
between.
If you want to hit something, do it now.
Yeah, I want to hit, mommy. Hit, mommy.
Pretty big dude, I would tell you.
We'll loosen up just a little bit. I'll just kind of do mobility stuff on it, and then we'll do legs.
His lower legs the size of half a heather.
I know, right? He's like, his hips are my size. I think my shoulders come up to your hips, dear. Let's go face down again for me.
I don't want to name names, but everybody walks around 10 or 15 pounds heavier than they should.
Well,
And that's the biggest thing. You got.
But then you get disciplined with your diet, like outside of camp. Like, so, you know, I have a 35er. He walks it. If he's going to be a slob and start drinking cervezas and all that, he's walking at 168. But if he's like eating clean in the gym, he's walking at 160. He's never had an issue making weight, and then he fights at 160. So he goes down to 35, fights at 160 comfortably. That's where he trains good at, you know.
Yeah,
and,
that's a big swing, too.
But he's never had an issue making weight. He's not dehydrated. You know, he's passing all the tests. He's healthy. But I think he would just fight it, you know, so he would figure out a way to just always walk at 160, and then he'd have to fight it, you know, 55 or 60. Or
do you think, for us, like, more divisions is the solution, or is not? Or guys should just, because that's overkill?
No, I mean, just be professional. You know, maintain your weight year round. I mean, unless you are injured, there's really no reason to fluctuate that much.
Every single time I'm cutting weight, thinking about feeding my kids. That brings joy. They're gonna eat good.
I was always talk hit. Like I don't know. Like I remember I was like 15, 16, and I was already like 6'7". So, but then you know, the last couple of years, really the muscle came on.
How old are you?
30.
30's not that old for a heavyweight.
It's beauty in the struggle.
I believe that when fighters in the last week, they experience weight cutting draining, and it's pretty difficult. It has to do with a lot of things. It has been a grueling training camp. Their bodies beat up. They have not drank things that they like for months. They have not eaten the things that they like for months. So that has a lot of effect on them. And coming week fight, the media, the pressure of a fight, going live in front of millions and putting everything on the line, your honor, your respect, your integrity, everything. You put everything on the line every time you fight. So it brings a special kind of pressure with it, which is very hard for any type of athlete to deal with it, which makes them cranky, which makes them a little bit easy to get annoyed. And the people around them don't understand it because they might not have been through this, but fighters know the feeling. Fighters understand it. And that's something that weight cutting is actually the hardest thing about the camp. And the fight is actually the easy part because we fight every week, 2 or 3 times when we spar. It's not less than a fight in an actual octagon. The only thing that the fight makes a fight different from the cage is the referee, which is in the cage with the 2 athletes, and in training there is no referee. There is just the coach, and if the coach doesn't watch, somebody might get dropped and get punched after being dropped. So the camps are pretty grueling on athletes, and that's the reason they become really, really cranky in a fight week. And the weight cut is also draining them on top of the media and everything else.
I hope I wake up like 8:30 and check my weight. If I have to do something, turn a hot shower on, start sweating, last couple pounds. So I was 270.5 with clothes before training though, so like I'm almost there. I can eat, I think, and yeah, we'll make it work, so be all good. I cannot complain, I don't have to cut that much. Percentage-wise, for sure, compared to the other guys. I wasn't hungry one moment this week, so it's good.
We won the battle. We won the nutrition battle early. Me and my team, my nutritionist, Doug Kalman, Dr. Peacock, my meal plans, Chef Fit meal plans, my proteins, the Growing Naturals. My team, we won the nutrition battle early. That's why today was easy.
I do think that sometimes, every fight week is different, so you get to deal with different issues, and it can, definitely make things harder. So, I never really had to do it myself as much, but I definitely got a lot of respect for those guys doing it the way they do, although I think they definitely need to change things a little bit to make it easier on the guys, because if you think about it, there's not a lot of sports that cut weight like that. And to have an athlete perform at his best, you need his body to be at the best. And we fight. We pretty much try to kill each other in that cage, and then they do that after a big weight cut like that. It's it just blows my mind away. It doesn't make any sense to me, but hopefully things will change. I think they have to.